you, the wicked our country people. You see this Richiku or Nachiko, they take correct natural ingredients, make them. If not made in Nigeria, like a Risco, get many benefits. It help grow our economy. And job plentiful, nyafo. And when you put them inside mouth, it's sweet. And it dig it for
buy made in Nigeria. Buy a Risco product.
Liver is a refinery of the body that helps to cleanse the entire body system. Liver disease is a silent killer. Do you know eating junk food, excessive alcohol consumption, drug abuse, cigarette smoking, and stress can cause damage in your liver?
As a pharmacist, I know that Silibon is a clinically proven, recognized liver protector that helps cleanse and protect your liver while you enjoy your lifestyle. Use Silibon 70 mg to 140 mg twice daily. It is approved by NAFDAC.
Silibon is marketed by Micronova Pharmaceuticals Limited and available at major pharmacies near you. If symptoms persist, consult your doctor. Silibon protects and improves your liver health.
From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Nwaodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, countdown to the deadline for agreement on a new national minimum wage. Tripartite committee in last-minute efforts to resolve the dispute and avert another round of industrial action by organized labor. About 30 people reportedly killed following attacks on numerous communities in Katsina State. Police launched manhunts for bandits behind the raid. Governor Alex Oti raises bounty placed on the killers of 5 soldiers in Abia State to 30 million naira for state resolve to tackle insecurity headlong in the state. And federal government vows to mandate mining companies to provide insurance cover for all mine workers in the country.
On business news tonight, International Monetary Fund projects Nigeria's economy to hit $1.85 trillion by 2029.
On sports news tonight, Carlos Alcaraz beats incoming world number 1 Yannick Sinner to reach the French Open final and continue his bid for a 3rd Grand Slam title.
And from the nation's capital, the National Emergency Management Agency calls for combined efforts to safeguard communities at risk of flooding in at least 8 local government areas in Zamfara State during the 2024 rainy season.
And in international news from London, Dutch voters have begun 4 days of voting across the European Union, with exit polls suggesting a tight race between a left-green alliance and the party of anti-Islam populist Geert Wilders.
Nigerians are waiting with bated breath as negotiation for the new national minimum wage enters crunch time, with the final agreement by the tripartite committee currently meeting in the nation's capital, Abuja, still being expected. Well, news just in from that meeting has it that Labour has further shifted its position, proposing 250,000 naira, while the government moved to 62,000 naira. The meeting, which is holding behind closed doors at the Nikon Luxury Hotel and which has already lasted about 10 hours, is the 4th since the suspension on Tuesday of the industrial action declared by the organized labor. Well, among those at that meeting are the Minister of Labor and Employment, representatives of organized labor, the Governor of Imo State, the Director General of Nigeria Governors Forum, Well, representatives of the Salaries, Income and Wages Commission and the Minister of Finance, as well as the Minister of Budget and National Planning, units of the Tripartite Committee first held a separate meeting, and that's after which they then went into plenary, where they expected to harmonize their decisions and hopefully come up with a consensus figure. But before that plenary session began, Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State told journalists that he remained optimistic that an agreement will be reached.
And maybe from there, the media can start their job. But as it is now, I think we are better off now before the technical committee.
So the meeting is not ended yet?
The technical committee is over.
Okay.
And of course, you know, it's a tripartite committee. We struggle to do an agreement, at least between the government and the organized private sector. We are still engaging the organized level. And I'm almost confident that in a few minutes from now, after the plenary, we would have reached a concrete agreement.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Governors Forum says the 60,000 naira proposal by the federal government is not sustainable. A statement by the Acting Director, Media Affairs and Public Relations, Mrs. Halima Ahmed, explains that if the figure is allowed to hold, then many states will use their monthly allocations from the Federation account to pay workers' salaries. The forum appeals to members of the Tripartite Committee to agree on a minimum wage that will be fair and sustainable. The organized labor had earlier rejected the 60,000 naira proposal and staged a nationwide strike to kick against this proposal. It then suspended the action on Tuesday after the federal government promised to raise the figure above 60,000 naira. And fresh attacks to security matters. Attacks by bandits in several villages in Dutsima and Safana local government areas of Katsina State have reportedly claimed the lives of 30 persons. Dutsima and Safana are two of the frontline councils where activities of bandits have been on the rise, despite the huge presence of security agencies and government interventions to decimate insurgency in those areas. Eyewitnesses told Channels Television that the affected villages, which are 13 in number, were attacked on Tuesday evening. It was further gathered that multiple attacks forced most of the residents there to migrate to safer communities, just as the terrorists were said to have carried out another attack on several other vulnerable villages on Thursday. Meanwhile, police spokesperson in the state, ASP Abubakar Sadiq, says the security operatives, in synergy with relevant stakeholders, are intensifying efforts to arrest the perpetrators of that attack. We head to Abia State now, where the governor, Alex Oti, has raised the bounty placed on the killers of 5 soldiers in Obakabia Junction in Aba, the commercial hub of Abia State, to 30 million naira from 25 million naira. He made this known when the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, and other top military officers visited him at his country home in Isialangwa local government area.
Firstly, security was number one. That's why we have had a relative peace in this place in the last 1 year until this very unfortunate isolated incident that happened last Thursday. Interestingly, the government has raised the bounty of 25 million. And just yesterday, an Abia son, who also comes from Ogiwa and lives in the United States, sent us 5 million to upgrade the bounty to 30 million. And so I'm happy to announce that the bounty has just been upgraded to 30 million to encourage anyone that will have useful information that will lead to the apprehension.
But earlier, Air Marshal Abubakar said that if Nigeria's Air Force seeks to explore opportunities in collaboration with Abia State and working with other security agencies to ensure the security of lives and property in the country will be key.
In requesting for the institution of the presence of Nigerian Air Force in Abia State, which not only boosts security of the airspace but also provide invaluable support in emergency response, disaster management, and community development initiatives of Abia State. I hereby express the Nigerian Air Force's willingness to take advantage of the opportunity to further extend its reach in the employment of air power in response to national security imperatives, especially in Abia State and by extension the South-East region. At this juncture, permit me, Your Excellency, to request for an appropriate parcel of lands to be allocated to Nigerian Air Force in Abia State. This will enable the emplacement of necessary facilities to enable the Nigerian Air Force's presence in the state to provide effective and decisive kinetic response to threats to enhance national security.
And away from security matters, the federal government says that going forward, mining companies will be mandated to provide insurance cover for all mine workers to secure them in the event of an accident. This pledge was made by the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Mr. Dele Alake, who said this when he paid a visit to Niger State to commiserate with the government and the people of the state over the mining pit collapse, which trapped about 30 mine workers in the state. Meanwhile, Governor Umaru Bago has attributed the high level of insecurity in Shiroro and Munya local government areas of the state to the abundant deposit of mineral resources, calling for a census on licensed miners.
Days after the deadly collapse of a mining pit in Galkago community, Shiroro local government area of Niger State, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, visits the state to condole with the victims of the incident. First, he calls at the government house where he is received by the governor of Niger State, Umaru Bago, in his office. The minister announces that the federal government will no longer approve any mining license that does not show any concrete remediation plan.
We've also discovered that a lot of miners in the past will mine, they will dig, and after extracting and exporting, they move off to another mine site, leaving the pits unreclaimed, and those pits now become dangers to the host communities, and we've had to record casualties, maybe children or even adults falling into the pits unknowingly. So we are no longer going to approve any license to any miner who does not show us a plan of remediation, so that we reduce all the variables of danger associated with mining in Niger State and in every inch of the land of Nigeria.
We can.
Governor Bago attributes the high level of insecurity in Shiroro and Munya local government areas of the state to the abundant deposit of mineral resources and calls for a census of the licensed miners.
As a state in that region, Shiroro Munya suffered a lot of insurgency from bandits, from a lot of bad people. But we know most of it is because of the kind of mineral resources that are there, and people are trying to grapple for what they can get. So if we have a census of people who have been given licenses around there, we can rearrange them in cooperatives, and be able to isolate them from these other bad people, so that we can also be able to have vigilance on them. It's very, very important. I like the idea of the insurance policy you are bringing on top. It's very important. Even if there is collaboration with the state government, wherever these mines are, we can, as a state, be getting royalties from them. We can, be able to create pathways, access routes into those places, and we will know that these people are there.
Thereafter, the governor accompanies the minister to the IBB Specialist Hospital, where some of the rescued victims are receiving treatment. 5 days after the collapse of the mining pit, efforts are still ongoing to get to the trapped miners, although the operations are set to be made more difficult due to constant rainfall and insecurity around the mining area.
And to political matters now, the last may not have been heard about the former resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa State, Mr. Hudu Yunusa Ari, who was suspended by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for electoral misconduct in 2023. 1 year after the drama that played out during the state governorship election, the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, is asking the Inspector General of Police to smoke the suspended resident electoral commissioner out for prosecution. The PDP, at a news conference in Abuja, displayed a warrant of arrest from the High Court of Justice in Adamawa State, asking the IGP to comply by arresting Mr. Yunusa Ari to answer to the charges against him.
As you will recall, Madam Hudu Yunusa Ari brazenly attempted to subvert our nation's constitutional democratic rule by trying to install an illegal government in Adamawa State in violation of Section 1, Subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. Nigerians are therefore invited to note that the High Court of Justice of Adamawa State, Court Number 9, Yola Division, has issued a warrant of arrest of Madam Hudu Yunusa Ari dated May 21st, 2024, and we have the copy of that order here of the High Court of Justice of Adamawa State, Court Number 9. The PDP therefore charges the Inspector General of Police to, in compliance with the order of court, immediately fish out, arrest, and bring Madam Hudu Yunusa Ari before the court for prosecution.
In part two, after the break, a federal high court in Kano reserves judgment in the fundamental human rights suit filed by the dethroned 15th Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero, against his deposition by the state government. Please stay with us.
Nivea Pearl and Beauty Deodorant with natural pearl extracts and avocado oils for soft, smooth, and beautiful underarms. The perfect balance of 48-hour protection and care with delicate fragrances. Feel the power of pearls. Nivea Pearl and Beauty for soft, smooth, and beautiful underarms. Try our new Pearl and Beauty Black Pearl for smooth and perfumed underarms. Enjoy the delicious creamy goodness of cowbell with Vitarich and vitamin B9, which supports brain development. Cowbell, so creamy, so good.
Alright everyone, no put your ears, make we talk. Time don't read to rearrange the sounds to give una small wisdom. Una think say una sabi. Sounds might be fresh now, but you know, I beg no be so. Before una go talk, say our smell no reach. Make una think and try so. We know they here, so they point una with our small finger. We show una solution instead. Ever heard of Colgate, the #1 oral care brand in the world? On a slide, go find like chemistry as it's supposed to be. You can see why we are the coolest around. For zero cavity and long-lasting fresh breath. Mom, it's your time to brush. Mama and Papa buy am, use am, and shine your smile. No more cover mouth. Because we Colgate, that will do your job with your smile.
nutritious meals, more veggies, but we want it tasty and easy too. Knorr Cubes, that's the secret. Made with real ingredients like chicken, parsley, and garlic, and enriched with iron, so your meals are better for you and more delicious too. That's the cocoa. Let's give it some accolades. Change your world by changing what's on your plate.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Countdown to the deadline for agreement on a new national minimum wage, tripartite committee and last-minute effort to resolve the dispute and avert another round of industrial action by organized labor. And about 30 people reportedly killed following attacks on numerous communities in Katsina State on Tuesday. Police launched manhunts for bandits behind the raid. Governor Alex Oti raises bounty placed on the killers of 5 soldiers in Abia State to 30 million naira, for state's resolve to tackle insecurity headlong in the state. And the federal government vows to mandate mining companies to provide insurance cover for all mine workers in the country. Let's head to the judiciary now, where a federal high court sitting in Kano and presided over by Justice Simon Amodbeda has reserved judgment in the fundamental human rights suit filed by the dethroned 15th Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero. The former Emir had filed a motion ex parte asking the court to restrain the defendants from arresting him or infringing on his rights, urging that his dethronement did not follow due process. The respondents in the suit are the Attorney General of the Federation, the Attorney General of Kano State, Nigeria Police Force, the IGP, Commissioner of Police in Kano, the DSS, the NSCDC, the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Air Force, and the Nigerian Navy. But when the case came up for hearing today, the counsel to the second respondent, Mahmoud Magaji, told the court that he filed a preliminary objection and asked the court to dismiss the strike of the originating summon. But earlier, the counsel of the plaintiff, Michael Numa, argued that the court had the jurisdiction to entertain the matter as it borders on the fundamental rights of his clients, and asked the court to accept the fundamental rights suit in the interest of justice. But after listening to these arguments, the judge said a date to deliver judgment will be communicated to the parties. On Thursday, June 6, 2024, Justice Abdullahi Lehman of the Federal High Court Kano adjourned hearing on another suit, asking the court to determine whether or not it has the jurisdiction to decide on the Kano Emirate tussle between Emir Muhammad Sanusi II and the dethroned Emir Ado Bayero. And in another legal matter, the Competition and Consumer Protection Tribunal has fined pay TV operator MultiChoice Nigeria owners of DSTV and GoTV 150 million naira for disputing the court's jurisdiction, and ordered it to provide Nigerians with a 1-month free subscription on its DSTV and GoTV packages. But a 3-man panel led by Thomas Okusu gave the verdict today. The tribunal had previously blocked MultiChoice from raising subscription fees without proper notice, based on the lawsuit by barrister Festus Onifade, who claimed the 8-day notice given to the price increase was inadequate. Mr. Onifade had sued DSTV, accusing the pay TV of unjustly increasing subscription fees without 1-month notice to customers and leveraging on it to seek interim orders. The counsel for MultiChoice had contended that previous ruling that settled price regulation issues. And while Mr. Onifade focused on the inadequate notice rather than the price hike itself, prompting the tribunal to affirm its jurisdiction and rule against MultiChoice. Subsequently, the court fixed July the 3rd for hearing of the substantive suit by the plaintiff. We have more for you. We head over to Abuja studios where Terry Kumi is standing by. Hello, Terry.
Well, hi, Anne. Now, the National Emergency Management Agency says at least 8 local government areas in Zamfara State may be affected by flooding in the 2024 rainy season. NEMA is calling for combined efforts to safeguard communities at risk, protect critical infrastructure, and support socio-economic activities in the country. This is according to the agency's Director General, Zubaida Umar, who was speaking in Gusau at the sensitization program for the 2024 downscaling of flood warning strategies for early actions.
The Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency, in the year 2024 annual flood outlook, predicted that 148 local government areas in 31 states fall within the high flood risk areas, while 249 local governments in 35 states, including the FCT, fall within the moderate flood risk areas, and the remaining 377 local government areas lie within the low flood risk areas. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, had the sensitization program for the 2024 downscaling of flood early warning strategies for early actions in Gusau, Zamfara State, identified Bugundu, Gumi, Gusau, Bakura, Maradun Talata Mafara, Shinkafi, Zurumi, local government areas in Zamfara State as moderate flood risk areas. The Director General of NEMA, Zubaida Umar, who was represented by the Director of ICT, Sani Lokoja, highlighted that in the past years, Zamfara State had been severely impacted by flood, which led to losses, damages, and fatalities.
NISA has specifically stated in their 2024 annual flood outlook that 31 states and 148 local governments have been predicted to be within the high flood risk areas, while 35 states, including FCT, with 249 local governments, are considered to fall within the moderate flood risk areas.
The Zamfara State Commissioner for Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Aliyu Safi, said the government has already started the flood awareness campaign across the 14 local government areas of the state.
Humanitarian and relief matters. I am warmly welcome you all to this great and life-saving gathering that will guide us to prevent our communities from being affected by flood disaster.
The state governor, Dauda Lawal, who was represented by the secretary to the state government, Abubakar Nakwada, implored government officials, traditional and religious leaders, and other relevant stakeholders to actively participate in the sensitization program.
I implore all stakeholders, government officials, traditional rulers, religious organizations, and community members to actively participate. Your involvement is crucial in ensuring that the information and strategies shared during this exercise reach every corner of our state.
Stakeholders hope that the sensitization and enlightenment program will go a long way towards reducing the impact of floods, safeguard private and communal livelihoods, and guarantee the path of driving socio-economic growth and development of the people.
In Benue State, the federal government has commissioned the 1.2-kilometer concrete Idia Basin Canal, while pledging to dredge River Benue to check flooding. The canal project was executed under the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission Flood Control Intervention Program. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, who was represented at the ceremony by the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev, restated the President's commitment to addressing major development challenges in the state.
The newly constructed 1.2-kilometer Idia Basin concrete cast drainages running from Idia village through Iyeman layout down to Naka Road in Makodi, the Benue State capital, is set. Communities along these water plains have been plagued by years of flooding, resulting in the loss of lives and properties. However, the danger remains and residents call for help. The governor of Benue State, Mr. Hyson Alia, who is represented by his deputy, Mr. Sam Ode, arrives at the venue for the Channel inauguration in the company of the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation. The managing director of Hyperdeck gives background to the problems and what the commission had to do to save lives and properties of those living below the water lines.
This project is a 1.2 kilometer with 2.5 kilometers to salvage the lower basin of the community, because we do not have enough financial muscle to address everything. But we decided to address the major and also the outlet to be supported so that it will be easy to flow out.
The representative of the Benue State Governor commended the federal government and pledged to sustain the project.
The project's success is a testament to your dedication to mitigating flood and erosion, safeguarding the environment and improving the lives of our communities around this area. By implementing projects like this, Hypertech has demonstrated a proactive approach to addressing these challenges.
The representative of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation then commissions and unveils the project.
We are not leaving any stone unturned. The Makurdi metropolis, which River Benue, which has always been overflowing its bank, the federal government is taking that into consideration. And the challenge of the flash flooding has been curbed by construction of channels that take excess of the water and channel them to River Benue to curb the challenge of flooding in Nigeria.
Reports say since work commenced on the 1.2-kilometer long Adia Basin Canal, the problem of flooding since 2022 through 2023 has been addressed substantially.
Well, still on infrastructure development, Vice President Kashim Shettima has commissioned the official residence meant for the nation's number 2 citizen and built by the Federal Capital Territory Administration. The Vice President represented President Bola Tinubu at the ceremony in Abuja. He says the completion of the project is a reflection of the commitment of President Tinubu's administration to providing the enabling environment for leadership to thrive. Our State House correspondent Emperor Simon reports.
The official residence of the number 2 citizen of Nigeria marks the 8th project to be commissioned by the Federal Capital Territory Ministry as part of the commemoration of the first anniversary of President Bola Tinubu. Vice President Kashim Shettima arrives to commission the edifice on behalf of the President. The building is a few meters from the State House and the National Assembly, adjacent the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. The headquarters of the Department of State Service is behind the complex.
The inauguration of the Vice President's residence, the first since the relocation of capital to Abuja over 40 years ago. Today's occasion is a testament to what we can achieve when we have the right support and unwavering dedication to deliver on our set goals.
The project, which was first awarded in 2010 at a cost of 7 billion naira, was abandoned in 2015. The present FCT administration made it a priority to complete the project in the first year of the administration.
It was in January this year that we had a revised budget to make it 21 billion, which is from 7 billion to additional 14 billion. A country that's for a vice president's residence that will take 14 good years. And then Mr. President has come. Within a year, he has made it to be a reality.
Vice President Kashim Shettima is expected to be the first occupier of the structure, and he explains that the completion is a fulfillment of the present administration's promise to complete inherited projects. He commends the efforts of the FCT minister.
The president is mightily proud of you. He's proud of your achievements, he's proud of your commitments, and he's proud of your loyalty. And as we commission this state-of-the-art edifice, as the official residence of the Vice President, I hold a very strong opinion that abandoning projects after substantial expenditures have been incurred is inherently wasteful. And it is in the best interest of the government and the public to see them through to completion.
He leads other guests to commission the project. In addition to providing accommodation for the Vice President, the edifice will also host leaders from other countries whenever the need arises. From the presidential villa, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, International Monetary Fund projects Nigeria's economy to hit $1.85 trillion by 2029. That's on Business News. Please join us again.
What did it happen for here? We went for manager, make us pay us our money. No work. Manager, what's happening here? Manager, why you hide? They don't allow me go back. They say I go run. Manager, why you no use first money wallet bulk payment? Pay them now. Not true. Yes.
Amuna, calm down. Oh yeah, make una bring out una phone. Dial *894*1# to open your first money wallet. This money, it be like rock cash, you fit withdraw them, pay bills, or even transfer themselves. I don't pay all of you now. I beg you 5 goza for first money wallet.
Enjoy the unlimited life with First Money Wallet. Dial *894*1# on any mobile phone to activate now. You first. First Bank.
The Duchess International Hospital caters to every aspect of the family's health needs. A one-stop shop for maternity and child health services, emergency medicine and critical care, medical and surgical subspecialties, dental and eye care, and a range of other subspecialties and services, all available at a single location right here in the heart of Ikeja. And it really doesn't matter if you're paying out of pocket using your HMO or private insurance. We focus completely on providing that world-class affordable healthcare for all the family at all times.
It's hot. Have you seen the remote?
No, I haven't seen it.
How did you do that?
Welcome back to the news at 10. We go to Anambra State now, where residents of Ekwulobia cannot wait to see the completion of the 10.1 billion naira Ekwulobia flyover. Governor Chukwuma Soludo has visited the project site to inspect ongoing work alongside his wife, Noye. Satisfied with the pace and quality of work, Governor Soludo says his administration is building for the 21st century and even beyond.
The site of the Ekwulobia flyover construction is a hive of activity as Anambra State Governor Professor Chukwuma Soludo, alongside his wife, daughter, the Commissioner of Works and other relevant stakeholders, visit to ascertain the level of work done on the project. Work is at an advanced stage as the support beams are up, and out of the 33 pre-stressed gathers to be mounted, 20 have been completed. The project contract comprises a flyover, a modern bus terminal, and over 4-kilometer dual carriageway road construction.
This is the first pre-stressed gathers we are going to have in the southeast. I don't know about Nigeria generally, but it's 33 meters length of each one of them, which is something that is not seen here before. The technology, our people are learning, they actually what is called technological transfer. People are learning out of it, and it's actually a different kind of flyover we are doing here.
Governor Soludo inspects the ironwork, the piers and other construction work ongoing. He expresses satisfaction over the pace and quality of work being done.
We're here just on snap inspection event. So we've just come to see how far they have done and to be sure that they are on schedule. But from the reports we have gotten, they are quite on schedule. You can see some of the stressed slabs being put in place. I understand there should be about, this is about 33 meters long, press-stressed guiders, as you call them. I understand that might be some of the first in the country, as it were, but in terms of length and quality.
He also inspects some illegal structures standing in the way of the construction.
Somebody has built on a right-of-way where you are not supposed to. You are already, it means the building by definition was built illegally.
The inspection team then moves to Ekulobia Township Stadium, where the pace of work is a bit slow. As the contractor tries to explain to the governor, the community members urge him to look into the contract and help accelerate the project. The inspection ends on a convivial note as the governor assures them of accelerated work while appealing to the people to stop building indiscriminately around the stadium, as all unauthorized buildings must be taken out.
That's all from the nation's capital. Back to Lagos.
We can now tell you that the meeting of the Tripartite Committee on the new minimum wage has ended. The meeting ended with the organized private sector and the government side recommending 62,000 naira as the new minimum wage, while Labour recommended 250,000 naira. These recommendations from the meeting will be forwarded to President Bola Tinubu, who is expected to send an executive bill to the National Assembly for legislative action. As it is now, the Committee on National Minimum Wage, which was constituted in January, has finished its work as the ball now shifts to the President's table and subsequently to the National Assembly. Well, it remains to be seen whether the organized labor will accept the proposal of the government and the organized private sector. To health matters now, the Minister of State for Health has commissioned the newly built Center for Human Virology and Genomics Laboratory at the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research in Lagos. During his visit to the institute, the minister also inspected the Research Committee Secretariat and commissioned several test kits manufactured at that center. Our correspondent Mary Alala Yusuf reports.
The community at the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research has been anticipating this visit from the Minister of State for Health. The DG of NIMA, Professor Babatunde Salako, gives a nostalgic welcome address as he intimates the audience that his time in the institute is coming to a close.
Within the past decade, NIMA has received external grants from several organizations, including the WHO, TDR, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the National Institute of Health in the US, the US CDC, and the CDC Foundation. It is with nostalgia that I receive you today for the commissioning of our Center for Human Virology and Genomics, because it may be one of the very few last public functions that I may be performing as the Director General of this great institution.
In his reply, the Minister of State for Health commends NIMA for the strides it has made.
Let me thank all the researchers that have contributed to this and the other things you're working on. Please use this hepatitis B quantitative PCR kit as a guinea pig or surrogate to how you're going to now develop an aggressive commercialization plan.
One may be tempted to label him with the phrase man of action, as he gives practical instructions to overcome the hurdles the research center faces and move it forward.
You said you're having bottleneck with NAFDAC in approval. Professor Wako, could you please send a memo to me on this? And I promise you that if I get that memo within 90 days, if you meet all the regulatory requirements, you will get your NAFDAC approval within 90 days.
With that, he launches the tuberculosis test kit. It turns out to be a full day as researchers introduce the Salmon Project, a strategy which introduces azithromycin to under fives and is shaping to be a game changer in reducing infant and under five mortality. Also commissioned are the Center for Human Virology and Genomics Lab, a sickle cell machine, and preparations to test for and prevent HIV/AIDS, all made in Nigeria. The meeting comes to a close as the Minister of State charges NIMA to put more effort into vaccine research, test kit manufacture, and disease surveillance, leveraging on AI to facilitate results and make it easier for government to translate researchers' recommendations into policy. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
In other stories, the United Methodist Church in Nigeria has distanced itself from the recent decision by the General Conference of the Global United Methodist Church to approve same-sex marriage among its members. At a press briefing, the church described the move as unconstitutional in Nigeria, unholy and unethical, affirming stately that the church in Nigeria rejects the legislation adopted during the General Conference in North Carolina, United States.
The leadership of Southern Conference of United Methodist Church wish to call an appeal for total calmness as strong measures have been put in place to discuss the ugly incidents that is against the Nigeria Constitution and our tradition in Africa, with the registered trustees of the church, cabinet members, board of ladies, council on ministries, which will finally lead to the special call session before letting the entire world know our reactions to the ungodly lifting of the bans on homosexual. 6, we may further state that same-sex marriage and LGBT practices are all prohibited by Nigerian law.
The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, says that it will ensure that onshore assets undergoing divestments by major international oil companies will be taken over by operators capable of managing the assets optimally. According to the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of NUPRC, Gbenga Komolafe, this is crucial to ensure that Nigeria meets its OPEC quota, protects the interest of host communities, and adheres to international best practices. Mr. Komolafe made this known while meeting with members of the Niger Delta-based civil society organization Social Action in his office.
Recent developments by the IOCs have no doubt raised concerns among stakeholders, but as the regulator, it is our responsibility to ensure that these divestments are conducted fairly and transparently to benefit all parties, including the Nigerian people. Therefore, we have put stringent regulatory frameworks and guidelines subjected to thorough scrutiny and approval by the Commission to govern the divestment process with a keen focus on transparency, accountability, and adherence to global best practices. We have established mechanisms to monitor and evaluate the performance of divested assets pre- and post-transactions. This includes regular audit inspections and reviews to ensure that operators meet their obligations and that the divested assets are managed efficiently and responsibly.
The chairman of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Erewa, has emphasized the need for Nigerians to always acquaint themselves with the laws of the country they intend to visit. She made the call when she received a petition from the Nigerian medical practitioner who allegedly maltreated by Swiss authorities, explaining that he was detained at the Geneva airport in Switzerland for being in possession of a laser pointer, which unknown to him is prohibited in the country. Mrs. Dabiri-Erewa also wants countries to make their travel laws visible to foreigners and tourists. We delve into the world of business, where Dominic Iwiwu is standing by.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial star 894 hash now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Anne. On business news, Nigeria's economy is set to grow significantly with its GDP in purchasing power parity terms projected to reach $1.85 trillion by 2029, according to the International Monetary Fund. This marks a rise from $1.36 trillion in 2023, indicating a consistent upward trend. The IMF data highlights a notable annual growth rate, with Nigeria's share of global GDP based on PPP expected to increase slightly to 0.78% by 2029, up from 0.77% in 2023. Despite facing challenges such as the 2020 recession and declining oil prices, Nigeria, the fourth largest economy in Africa, is showing signs of gradual expansion, and the projected growth over the next 5 years suggests a positive economic trajectory for the country. Philips Consulting Limited has launched its talent management report for 2024. The report seeks to find a balance between economic pressures and talent management. The survey, which covered 1,800 employees across 8 sectors in the Nigerian economy, showed that there are gaps in these balance, as 43% of employees surveyed believe non-financial rewards are included fairly, while 32% perceive non-financial rewards to be poorly included, and 10% have no idea if non-financial rewards are inclusive of total compensation. 36% of employees surveyed desire the quarterly review system, while 28% want to maintain the status quo, and 27% prefer a biannual system transition. Employees are eager to draw a straight line between performance and growth. Consequent to the findings, Philips Consulting suggests that businesses find that delicate balance between compensation, benefits, and employee satisfaction. The report suggests adopting first-mover advantage as a way forward, noting that employers could position themselves as leaders in talent management by thinking through the lens of total rewards, noting that benefits of total rewards program include increased employee retention, positive workplace culture, cost management, among others. The domestic equities market ended the final trading session of the week in the green as investors showed interest in oil and gas as well as banking stocks. Ini John Mekwa has details.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, for the final trading day of the week, we see the full gas again leading the sentiment in the market at the close of trade. FBN holding positive, UBA unchanged, GTCO negative, Access Co positive, while Zenith Bank is positive, but they led to some gains in the market generally. So that's why looking at the gainers and the losers, it's been a while since we looked at this. Charms is up. The fintechs seem to be in the news these days, and so we see Charms right there gaining 10% on its stock. ₦1.54. Is that what that means? ETI 8.41%, and Internet Jeans. So on the flip side, we see leading that is Royal X, then Prestige, and Veritas. Sometimes you have to look at this to see what's going on right there. But all of this is captured by what has happened with the all share index after the market gained 49 billion naira. We see a slight marginal increase on the all share index, 0.09%. A little bit of increase right here from what we closed with yesterday, and then the market cap is still around 56 trillion naira. Well, I must say it's a good way to end the week, having a Friday and having the bull.
Back to you, Anne, for the rest of the news.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial star 894 hash now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Dominic. The trial of 51 individuals, including 3 Americans accused of attempting to overthrow President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo last month, has begun. The court-martial proceedings were broadcast live today on national television and on radio from Dolo Military Prison in the capital, Kinshasa. Here's Simon Puse with other international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Dutch voters have begun 4 days of voting across the European Union, with exit polls suggesting a tight race between a left-green alliance and the party of anti-Islam populist Geert Wilders.
All over the European Union, so the people are waking up.
Right-wing and far-right parties are widely expected to make big gains in many of the EU's 27 member states. Although the Green Labour alliance is set to take more seats in the European Parliament, according to the exit poll, Mr Wilders' Freedom Party is on course for big gains. But he has not repeated the runaway victory of last November's general election. Under European law, final results are not released until every country has voted late on Sunday evening. Some 373 million Europeans are eligible to vote in the world's second biggest democratic election after India. The US has told Israel it must be fully transparent over an airstrike that reportedly killed at least 35 people at a central Gaza school packed with displaced people on Thursday morning. Local journalists said a warplane had fired 2 missiles at classrooms on the top floor of the school in the Nuseirat urban refugee camp. The Israeli military said it had conducted a precise strike on a Hamas compound in the school, but Gaza's Hamas-run government media office denied the claim. The US called on Israel to identify publicly the Hamas fighters it said it had killed, just as the Israeli military gave the names of 9 of them. President Cyril Ramaphosa has said South Africa's African National Congress will invite other political parties to form a government of national unity.
We have therefore agreed that we will invite political parties.
It comes after last week's election in which the ANC lost its majority for the first time since the end of the racist system of apartheid 30 years ago. Mr Ramaphosa called for a national dialogue to help rebuild social cohesion after a toxic and divisive election campaign. Political parties have just over a week to form a government before Parliament convenes to elect the president. Narendra Modi, leader of the BJP party, is set to take oath as India's Prime Minister for a record-equalling 3rd term on Sunday. A senior party leader said that the ceremony would take place at 6 p.m. local time. On Tuesday, a BJP-led coalition, the National Democratic Alliance, won the general election with 293 seats. The results were unexpected as the BJP did not win an outright majority, as several exit polls had predicted. Hunter Biden's ex-girlfriend has testified that she panicked when she searched his car and found a gun, a moment that set off a chaotic string of events that has brought the president's son to a federal courtroom. Hallie Biden, who is also the widow of the defendant's late brother, Beau, said that she had discovered the revolver amid piles of clothes and litter in the glove compartment of Hunter Biden's truck. The Delaware court will begin hearing from 2 more witnesses on Friday as prosecutors present their remaining evidence to jurors. It is unclear if Mr. Biden himself will testify in what is the first trial for the son of a sitting US president. Rishi Sunak says it was a mistake to leave D-Day commemorations in France early. Mr. Sunak returned to the UK early on Tuesday, and it later transpired he'd taken part in an election interview. After apologising, Mr. Sunak says people can judge me by my actions when it comes to supporting the armed forces.
As I said, the itinerary for these events was set weeks ago before the general election campaign. I participated in events both in Portsmouth and in France, and having fully participated in all the British events with British veterans, I returned home before the International Leaders event. That was a mistake, and I apologise for that.
And daily new temperature records have been set across the US Southwest as dangerous heat plagues the region.
And we begin tonight with a record-breaking day of heat across Arizona.
Among Thursday's record-setting locations was Phoenix, where the heat hit 111 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 45 degrees Celsius, and 11 people were taken to hospital while waiting to attend a Donald Trump rally. National Weather Service alerts remain in place on Friday. Scientists say extreme weather events are becoming more frequent and intense as a result of climate change. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Nigeria's Super Eagles played a 1-0 draw with South Africa on match day 3 of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier at the Godswill at Pabio Stadium in Uyo. South Africa took the lead in the 29th minute through Themba Zwane, who dazzled past the Nigerian defense. Meanwhile, Fisayo Delia Bashir leveled for the Super Eagles in the early moments of the second half. With this result, Nigeria is 5th in Group C after getting 3 points from a possible 9 in 3 matches played in the qualifiers so far. Away from the continent in tennis, Carlos Alcaraz advanced to his first French Open final when he defeated Yannick Sinner 2-6, 6-3, 3-6, 6-4, 6-3 after 4 hours and 10 minutes in a thriller in Paris. Alcaraz becomes the youngest player to advance to a major final on all three surfaces, and the second youngest Roland Garros men's singles finalist since 2000. The 21-year-old Spaniard has won both of his 2 previous major finals at Wimbledon last year and the 2022 US Open. Meanwhile, Alexander Zverev has reached his maiden French Open final in his 4th semi-final attempt after he moved past Casper Ruud 2-6, 6-2, 6-4, 6-2. Following his 2 hour 36 minutes with win over Zverev, Zverev became the second German man to reach the Roland Garros final in the Open era, joining Michael Stich. The 27-year-old is chasing his first major title and will play Carlos Alcaraz in Sunday's final. And while Iga Swiatek goes into Saturday's French Open final as the overwhelming favorite in her quest for a 3rd successive Roland Garros title against surprise challenger Jasmine Paolini of Italy. Swiatek, the world #1 from Poland, is attempting to become the 4th woman in the Open era to lift the Susan Leclerc Cup 4 times after Justin Henning, Chris Evert and Steffi Graf. The 23-year-old has won all 4 of her previous Grand Slam finals and will bid to extend that run against Paolini, who will be appearing in her first Grand Slam final. And that's Sports News Tonight. I am Kelly. It's back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. The meeting of the Tripartite Committee on the new minimum wage held in Abuja today, and it has now ended with the organized labor and the government side recommending 62,000 naira as the new minimum wage, while labor recommended 250,000 naira. Well, that's the news tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Have a wonderful weekend. Good night.